try to get this somewhat closer. And I was going to go through this on varieties. This is what I did down in Orlando, so I figured since I had it, I would go ahead and go through it for you guys as well. So anyhow, this is the presentation I did down there. This would be on varieties. Papa J, how you doing? West Side. This year coming up is Chattanooga. The next year we're aiming for Long Beach, if we can do it, for Isaac. And then the following year, probably middle of the country. We try to move it back and forth and around and around. But anyhow, here we go. This is how I started off. These were my slides up on PowerPoint. And that is what I did. Variety types of silver bars and rounds, okay? And a lot of people get confused about what is a bar, what's within the same mintage, how is it handled, and so forth and so on. So here we go. Many are noted in the guidebooks. These are some of the categories and subcategories of variety. This is more of a beginner course, so to speak. If you wanted to go in detail, you could even get some of the various errors and area and various things like that. You could probably have closer to 20 or 25, possibly 30 categories instead of that amount right there. Yeah, man. And, yep. And then when you end up going over here, here's an example. National Mint. Papa J is right on that. See these Zodiac ones? See a lot of these National Mint. See, they use the same obverse many years. 84, 85, 89, 81, etc. And even a few, I think I've seen 7, but they use different reverses each year. So each one is a different bar. That is not a broken mintage, okay? Each one is indeed a different bar. So that is actually a neat variety set if somebody wanted to try to do those. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I've seen 7 different reverse varieties. I think it shows 5 in the books. But that is an excellent example of a reverse type variety. Okay, then reverse orientation. You have the normal versus inverted. Normal would be considered a medallion reverse, where inverted would be a coinage reverse. Okay, and then as you see over here, when they flip them like a page in a book, that is still reading correct, but that one is upside down. Okay. Yeah. And there's at least 2 more. I'm pretty sure on all of them there is 7. And then on this, see, when you flip it like a page in a book, you don't rotate like this. You flip like a page in a book. Okay. And that is my foot way down there. See that? That's my foot. All size 15 of it. But anyway, see, and that would be non-inverted. That's a normal or medallion reverse. If you do that with most coins, like U.S. coins, when you flip it, it would be upside down. Okay, then here is an example of color varieties within the same mintage. Official mint issued by a mint. For the 35th anniversary, these were the top. That was the obverse and reverse. Red variety, purple, and yellow. Okay? These 3 5s glowed in the dark as well. These were all done by Silvertown, by Isaac. They had them ordered. They belonged to Isaac. Isaac actually auctioned these off. Tim Mater ended up winning all 3. But in here, under the translucent paint, this is serial number 1/3 DE double enamel, 2/3 DE double enamel, and 3/3 DE. See, that was denoted like that because if somebody was to get one aftermarket and have it done, it would have a serial number and, or in this case, a serial number under it. Like my personal one is number 786, my member number. So under it, if you've seen one that said 786, you would know that is not one of these. Okay, doesn't mean it's not worth the same, worth more, or worth less. That would depend on the art, who it belonged to, the history of it, the artist that did it. You know, if one was highly, highly sought after compared to some that wasn't, that could be even move it that way. But anyways, this is a color variety. But to do this, these were announced, these were put out, and it was said this is a mintage of 3, and within that, it has 3 color varieties. So that was explained, and it was serial numbered accordingly. Okay. Other examples would be this, where these were actually different color varieties, but they're different mintages, okay? But it was announced. These were announced and sold on the primary market by CMG Mint. That is Chris Geiner of Toledo, Ohio. He is the current historian of Isaac. As separate varieties with separate mintages as a transparent release. So it was mintage 30, mintage 30, mintage 30, and the gem set ones by Mike Gentry at Mag Metals. That was also an official one at mintage 25. So the transparency, they explained it. Chris also did similar with the Gnome some years ago, with the proof one, and then he had the color varieties, and there were 2. But he did mention later on, I may do other color varieties. So if he did a Halloween one year or St. Patrick's Day one year, that would be fine, because he mentioned up front at the beginning that was a possibility. But he could not do any more of the same ones that he did before, that color variety, like the orange or the yellow. Okay, that would be breaking a mintage. But this is not. Okay. Here is another example, original mint issue enamel versus aftermarket enamel. There are many ones, but this is a nice, pretty one to look at, and it's a fairly high-end one. For example, but this comes right down to serial numbering again, and it comes down to, is it apples to apples or apples to oranges? Hey, Albanian, how you doing? Got to meet Albanian down at Orlando. Man, that was fantastic. But anyhow, this one, for example, over here, Art Castro, Gastronomic Bouillon, had those bars minted, but he had 4 extras minted and side serial numbered on the rim, which says 1 of 4DE, that we remember 2 of 4DE, 3 of 4DE, and 4 of 4DE. Those were then sent to an enameler, and they were enameled, and then 3 of those were auctioned off. I think they went from 7 to 800. I still own mine, and then there was another piece that was, they were sent off and enameled. Apples to apples, same enameler, beautiful pieces, high-end pieces, beautiful pieces. But the serial numbers on the rims of them would not be the same as that. That's how you would determine between them, okay? So the rim serial numbers would be either the serial numbers from the proof ones, or either, I think they all had regular serial numbers like number 1, number 12, number 82, or whatnot. So that would be there instead of that. So that's how you could tell the difference in most cases. But that's where the original mint and the original artist making the decision and coming up with a good plan is really important on that. Because nobody meant, this is not a bootleg. This is nothing wrong with any of this. This is just the way things are. But that's how you keep it separate. And historically, these things have drug it along. Let's say these are worth $750. Then let's say at some point these are worth $750. Then these would probably be worth $9. And then if these become worth $9, then these would probably be worth $12. If all of a sudden these go down to $6, these might go down to $4. If these go down to $4, those might go down to $3. Anyhow, usually, historically, stuff like that, apples to apples, the same artist would pull each other along in whatever direction. So that's usually how things work, but very, very fantastic. Cool stuff. Same thing goes with the Locker mint, except I don't think any others were minted. That was a reverse, so I don't even think any proof of that exists. But if they ever do, that same thing will come up where you just have to worry about getting its serial number correctly to start with. Yep, there you go, 65, 420, 40, yeah, hey, 420, hey, I get it. Corey. Yeah, but man, fantastic stuff. Again, the apple to apples. Let's say, David Hill over in the UK did all these. So that's apple to apple. Let's say David Hill did these, the aftermarket ones, and I did these, and these didn't look so great. Then these would probably be worth more than the original, because that wouldn't be apples to apples. That would be apples to my awful apples, okay? But when you're dealing with the same artist and stuff, then it really, that's one less factor to take into care. So that works out fine. But yeah, man, that's beautiful artwork, man. Beautiful stuff right there. And that's what the hobby's about, enjoying stuff. And see, a lot of times when stuff like this happens, that actually is good for it. Because see, everybody can't afford the top of the top. And eventually, 10 years from now, let's say there's 15 or 20 of these, then somebody could afford this and get in on that. Because see, one day these could be $2,000 or $3,000. And one day, if these are half the price or 75% the price, and there's a few extra, people could still enjoy it without being the upper of the upper end, you know? So that's why historically stuff like this has always been good for the hobby. A lot of people get frustrated sometimes, but no, it's a different bar, but it's good. It's good for the collectors because more people get to enjoy it, you know? Appreciate D3. And, but anyhow, that's how that is. Beautiful pieces. Whoop. Anyhow, rim variety. I've never seen one of these bars. This is the Cabbage Patch Kid by Golden State Mint. Bex, Andrea and her brothers, their dad was Golden State Mint. They may have this die. If they do, hopefully they can do a commemorative. And it'd be pretty nice if they could do it, hold off and do it, 6 years from now on the anniversary. That would be pretty freaking cool. But yeah, this is Cabbage Patch. They only did 10. They did 10 and 10. And by rim variety, look at this. The reeded edge versus non-reeded smooth, okay? Doing okay. And so anyhow, those are just rim varieties. And then you could have other subcategories under that. Like you could have serial number stamped into the actual reed. You could have a spacing in the reed where it's smooth that has the serial number, spacing in the rim where it's not serial number. Then you can have the spacing when it's on this side near that, or the spacing over here, or the serial number. I mean, there's like 10 or 15 different subcategories as well, but that would be more of an advanced situation, okay? But this is just a holy grail bar. I only know one person that ever has it or had it. That'd be Walter Thomas. And, he's only missing a handful of bars out of all the guidebooks. He's like 90. He's been a collector for a long time. Heck of a good fella. Also, he should be at the convention also. This coming November, so make sure you're there. I expect Doug Jennings to be there. I expect Walt and Ida Thomas to be there. Ed Lance, the founder of Isaac, to be there. I mean, all of them folks be there. So you guys need to come along. You need to show them the new people and say, hey, we're the new people and we're here to honor you older people. And we're here to show you guys how happy we are and show you guys what you guys built all them years ago. Because see what we are now. And let them experience it, man, because a lot of these people will never get to experience that because they're too old for it, and this is their one time possibly in their life they'll get to do it next November. So I don't ever ask nobody for nothing, really, but I'm asking everybody to make a big thing about Chattanooga 2022 November, and make it a big thing for you guys and the whole community, the whole industry, and the old timers that will be there. But anyhow, this is the rim varieties, and boom. And then you have serial number varieties. Let Your Mint is a good example. Feliz Navidad. Santa on the Donkey is a good example. Mintage 100 for the serial numbered variety. And non-reported mintage for no serial number variety. Archie Kidd and I talked about it. Some people thought, they did 100 of the serial number. 100 of the serial number and then unlimited of the non. But I've only seen about 7 or 8 of the non-serial ones ever. If it was unlimited, we would have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, okay? Plus, they wouldn't have valued them at the same rate at 50 plus spot each back in the day. That was 1991. They're worth a hell of a lot more now. So what we're thinking is that either it was 100 and that 100 was shared between the two, or it was 100 total and nobody knows how many of which were minted, okay, or serial numbered or not. That's what we're thinking. But the other ones, they did have solid numbers, but see, they did serial numbered and non-serial numbered of various years. Some of the Phoenix ones, those, they did serial numbered, non-serial numbered, serial numbered, non-serial numbered. That is a good example of different varieties. Those are indeed different bars. They're considered different bars, different mintages, okay, as you can see. Also, I have seen them where the rim serial number was smaller. the rim serial number was slightly larger, or there was no rim serial number and there was a larger font stamp on the reverse of the bar. So that is an additional serial number variety within that. Okay. And then at the Isaac meeting down in Orlando, at that point, I called Randy Rush, Peach State Silver, up. He walked up. He knew what he was coming up for. Once he got up there, then we got situated, and we called up Bob Hurst, the president of Fun. He knew what he was there for. And Tony Schweitzer, the vice president of Fun and club liaison. They both do so much for clubs. Fun does as well. We presented Fun with a plaque that Randy actually sourced from one of his brother Masons out of Georgia. Okay, keep an eye out because we're running an ad for them in the newsletter. If anybody needs any plaques or trophies or whatnot, hit them up. That will be in the newsletter. And then we surprised Tony Schweitzer with one specifically for him. He almost teared up a bit, but he deserves it. He is one heck of an ambassador for the entire hobby and does so much for everyone. So we did that. You probably see pictures, D-Analysis, and a lot of people posted pictures of the video. But that's what we did there. Then I called Gibby up, Mike Gilberg, and he thought he was going to present, I guess, or something. But what it was is he stood up, and me and Randy read it, and we presented Gibby with an award of appreciation from Isaac for all the work he's done over the last year with the reorganization and just the amount of good work he's done. He was presented with an award. And then Diane Austin, also newsletter editor, she did a tremendous amount. She received a very similar award, obviously with her name on it instead of Michael Gilberg. Then I announced Tommy to come up. Everybody knows Tommy, good friend of ours, good friend of mine. He came up, said a few words about the hobby, the community and stuff, and real touching and straight from the heart, man. I really believe that. I know Tommy well for a while. He loves this stuff. He loves the people, just so much. And then he announced the first annual Silver Degenerate Award, and that was Miles Standish. And then we had that pretty well timed right. So when he said it, that did the little whirly bird there, and that came up. Then Miles came up, received his award, said some words. It was real, real nice. Had a really, really nice time there. And then we moved right on into a charity auction. Bar was online and in person auction. Half went to Isaac, which is 501c, and the Standish Foundation for Children went for $1,500. Had some nice strong bids in there. I even bid up pretty reasonable for me on that. And anyhow, D-Analysis, she bid, won that, half going to charity, and half going to one charity, half to the other. Of course, that was donated by Mike Gilberg, okay? And then that was donated by Mike and Holly Cabron, MK Bars and Bouillon. That's one of their first strikes off the new press, which is really, really nice, top press. And again, that was all the proceeds, half went to Isaac, half went to Standish Foundation for Children. That raised $500. Brett Nepa, he won that, and that was fantastic work, fantastic donation, and fantastic fundraiser. And hopefully we helped out, both organizations, but on top of it, helped out some sick children too. So that's even more important, And then we moved on and ended with that, okay? And like I said,